Hey guys, this is Dr. Jockers, and today we're talking about mold allergy solutions. And so, mold is such a big issue, and it's something all of us really need to have some level of knowledge on. And so, here are major signs and symptoms you may be dealing with mold allergies. If you're having frequent asthma attacks or asthma allergy like reactions where you have watery, itchy eyes, and this is going on year round. Okay, not just like 1 or 2 weeks out of the year when the pollen drops, but instead it's going on year round. That's a sign that you're probably being exposed to mold, and it's most likely in your house. Although certainly it could be in your office or something like that as well, someplace that you frequently go to. And so basically with mold releases these seeds called spores, and the spores travel around and they end up causing a lot of different issues. That's what we're actually breathing in, and they're going to cause issues. And so there's 26% of the population that does not metabolize household molds well. So they're more prone to having chronic inflammation when they're being exposed to mold. About 10% of the population will actually develop IgE, which is very more immediate reactive allergies to mold. And oftentimes, these are the individuals that develop asthma, for example. There's a lot of links between asthma and mold sensitivity. Joint pain, low fatigue, for example, excessive coughing, headaches, sleeping problems. These are all commonly associated with mold issues. And so we know that there's certain conditions that allow mold to really grow. The one that we really need to be aware of is moisture. So if we have some sort of water damaged area in our home, that is a spot where mold is going to be, basically mold's going to start to grow there unless it's treated. So it's really, really important to do that. We may smell mold spores, we may not. So a lot of times we think, okay, if we smell it, it's going to be there. Sometimes your nose is a good radar. If you are smelling it, it's there. However, that's not, the best measurement, because you may not smell it as well. But if you have moisture, you have oxygen, the presence of mold spores, lack of sunlight, UV rays, believe it or not, are antifungals. So they actually help kill mold. So mold loves areas where there's a lack of sunlight. A food source. And so oftentimes it's actually just bacteria that's on the floor that the mold will actually eat the bacteria. And then optimal temperature. So typically, room temperature or, somewhat warm temperature is good for mold to grow. And so here are signs and symptoms. Again, smelly, musty odor. Okay. But also, again, you may not smell that. So if you had moisture issues in your home that weren't treated, you should be suspect that that is an area where there's mold. If you have chronic allergy symptoms, again, that's definitely a sign of mold issues. And then if you're noticing some sort of mold color, green or yellow or black on the walls, then certainly that's a household mold. And so we know mold produces gases called microbial volatile organic compounds. These gases are odorless, again, but some may have a musty odor. The smell, that most of us know that's associated with mold. And if you're smelling that, certainly that means there's mold. But again, if you're not smelling it, doesn't mean that you're out of the loop. You still may have mold in your home. And so here are the main tips to control mold in your home. Number one, control humidity. So you can get something like a dehumidifier, which will help pull the moisture. Basically, the more humidity in a room, the more moisture there is in the air. So the dehumidifier will pull the moisture out of the air, and that helps reduce the development of mold. You want to have proper ventilation available. So you want to make sure you've got air coming in and out, okay, to move out mold spores and things like that. You want to quickly address any wet areas. This is super important, or any areas of water damage. If you know a pipe broke, or if there's any water damage, even if it's like a lot of water coming out of a shower or a bath, you've got to dry that up. Okay, so you've got to get that cleaned up. And then number four is something all of us should do, is use an air purifier, particularly one with UV. So you want a good filter, but you've got to have one that also has UV, because that's antifungal. Okay. And so a lot of benefits to having an air purifier. There are so many different chemicals and toxins that are being released from our carpet, from our furniture, from our mattresses, pillows. All kinds of stuff that's actually releasing different chemicals. You know, when we're going in and out of our house, if we have pets, things like that, we're constantly creating an indoor environment that is loaded with chemicals, loaded with toxins. And so a good quality air purifier, particularly a HEPA filter, will filter out most of that kind of stuff and take out a lot of these different chemicals. Super, super important. I know we've always had an air purifier in our home, and when we moved into our new home, we got new furniture, and we also had painting done before we moved in. So while it was after we bought it, we were getting some renovations done, and we got air filters in there right away to make sure that we were able to pull out a lot of these chemicals before we moved into the house. And I think that's really important, is doing our best to remove chemical exposure, remove environmental toxins. And again, air filter, really, really good investment of your time, energy, and money. And particularly getting a good one that will not only eliminate chemicals, but a really hospital grade HEPA filter is what it should have, but also having the UV to help kill off mold spores. Because you can filter mold spores, but you want to actually kill them. A lot of air filters actually almost create a breeding ground, the filter itself, for mold, because they're pulling stuff out of the air, and sometimes they can get some water in there, mold spores in there, and create a breeding ground for mold development. So you want to get one that has a UVC or ultraviolet germicidal radiation in there to actually help kill off the mold. That's why I really like the EnviroCleanse. This is what I have in my house. I have multiple of these actually, to make sure our air is as clean as possible, and it works wonderfully. And so again, this helps to keep the mold down. We had water damage here in our new home as well, that we actually had to get some work done. But we just, we make sure we've got these filters on and running in our home, and they work wonderfully. So I definitely would recommend checking that out, getting something like that in your home or your apartment to keep your household air clean. That's more important than food and supplements, is actually keeping your household air clean. So really important that you do that. And then as far as a supplement, whenever I'm working with people that have mold, in fact, one of the labs that I run is called a mycotoxin test, which is a urine test that will actually look to see if you have mold in your system, right? And if we see high levels, it means that you're being exposed to mold. Your body's actually, you're breathing in, you're taking it in, and it's coming out through your urine. And so that's a sign you've got mold somewhere in your environment, somewhere you're being exposed to that. And so the main supplement we'll use is our biotoxin binder, which is a fulvic humic acid binder that's phenomenal. It has a certain gradient and magnetic frequency that helps attract mold and bind to it. There's also some other compounds in there like broccoli seed extract, which helps to boost up the NRF2 pathway, to basically help support glutathione levels and help with overall detoxification. But the yucca root that's in there, as well as the fulvic and humic acids, are really powerful for helping bind to mold, ammonia, different aldehydes. Really good for helping reduce issues with candida or yeast as well. So you can definitely get that, but certainly be looking at cleaning out your air. I think that's so important, and such an important topic, and such an important thing that we're all looking at doing is keeping our environment as clean as possible. Makes a huge difference in your quality of life. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this training. Certainly happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns that you guys have. So you can put those below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do, so you get all of our latest updates. And hopefully everybody has a wonderful day, and be blessed. Bye-bye.